Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
I named the dog Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in paints.
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my man who loves narrowing down his favorites. It's Frank. How are you today?
I am doing most excellent. I love this. This is not favorites. All right, this is not favorites.
It kind of is.
It's all right. Well, we'll discuss. We'll discuss. There's an argument to be made, I suppose, but it's not. This is not my. That's not how I played it. How are you doing? Don't make me pick favorites, Tim. Don't make me pick favorites.
I mean, it's kind of favorites, but you know what? I won't. You can call it whatever it is that you want to call it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate
whatever
that very
helps
much.
you. Whatever helps you sleep at night.
Thank you.
Is fine by me.
Thanks.
Frank, what are you drinking today, though?
I am drinking another. Last week I had a Sam Adams. I'm having another Sam Adams, but this time it is the Sam Adams Brick Red. Something I have
like the Brick Red.
I've not seen in a can,
no
right? I haven't seen it outside of. I've only seen it on tap. I'm pretty sure. I don't think I've seen it in a bottle or a can.
Yeah,
maybe
it was a tap only. You could only get it in the city.
Yes. So that was my impression as well. But I got it in New Hampshire. At a convenience store. So I'm a happy camper. This is my last one. I was saving it so we could talk about it. I know you like this beer too. We have enjoyed it at the Green Dragon Tavern in downtown Boston.
Yeah, we did. I was actually just thinking about that place not too long ago.
Great place that I always want to call the Green Lantern, but it's not.
Nope.
It's the Green Dragon.
It's the Green Dragon. Frank wearing a Green Lantern T-shirt.
I am, in fact. Yes.
I'm wearing a Spider-Man T-shirt.
You are. Look at you.
Do you think that we are nerdy?
The show was called Beer with
Geeks.
Yeah.
Right.
There it is.
Right.
There it is.
So
speaking of that,
we're
the geeks. That's my beer. What's your beer?
My beer is from the 10th District Brewing Company. And it actually has no name. It's just called Gose, and it is a Gose.
Nice.
But they don't really name their beers. They just tell you what type of beer it is, which I kind of like.
I kind of respect that. I like that.
Yeah, because they only have one type of every kind.
Gotcha.
So if you say, like, I'll have the Imperial Saison, that's the only one that they have. You want the New England IPA? That's the only one they have. The India IPA, India Pale Ale, like, it's all, which I think that's cool. I really like. I like that very much. And so it's got some coriander, it's got some sea salt, lemon, and orange peel. But what I like about it most, it's aged with some organic cranberries.
Ooh.
And the cranberries, of course, are for those of you who are not living in Massachusetts, New England, cranberries in Massachusetts go hand in hand, like
ocean spray and cranberries.
Right, exactly. I was going to say like King Kong and airplanes, but that's actually not a great comparison.
Like politicians and corruption.
Right, like green and lanterns. Right, yeah, exactly. So, but anyway, Gose, it can be a goose. A Gose can be hit or miss for me, but this is definitely a hit. I really like this one.
Nice.
So 10th District Brewing Company, pretty new, actually. They have not been around for a long time. Actually, I have a former student that works there, and he had been trying to get me to go for like a year, and it was COVID and all this stuff. I'm like, I'm not going to places, blah blah blah, all this stuff. Turns out our end of the year party was there, and so I went anyway, and it was great, cool spot. I very much enjoyed it. So anyway, that's what I'm drinking.
Excellent. Okay. So this is what we were disputing earlier. Is this a game of favorites or not? I don't know. I had seen a tweet, asking what are 5 movies you've seen 5 or more times. And I thought, ooh, that's an interesting discussion. Tim has great opinions on movies. I would love to hear what his movies are that he's seen 5 or more times. So I have chosen 5 films that I have seen 5 or more times, some of them many more than 5 times. The only real rule we've established up front here is Star Wars is not on the list. Star Wars is a given. We've both seen every Star Wars movie 500 times. So that is the free space on the bingo card. We both get that one. But aside from that, do you have any other things that any other considerations that we should throw out there?
I'm also not allowed to use the Lord of the Rings or
sure.
I'm going to say all superhero movies because like I think it's well established that like I've definitely seen the Burton Batman movies or Christopher Reeve Superman or whatever more than 5 times.
Those 2 movies came to my mind as well as ones that I wasn't going to include. So that's fine.
Yep.
Those are not on my list either.
So I'm just kind of, for me, I'm taking a lot of superhero movies off the table.
Okay.
Actually, I have my list. I have no superhero movies on here because I think I have seen a good chunk so many times, and that's pretty well established, and we talk about them pretty often. And I thought this would be a good opportunity to talk about some movies that we don't get to talk about.
Sure.
So that's where my mind went here.
Okay.
And so yeah, those be the rules. I do want to guess one of your 5 movies.
Go for it.
Just to see how well I know you, and it's gonna be a weird one.
Okay.
Because the one I had in my head is not weird, and it's probably on your list, or it's definitely one you've seen more than 5 times. But I'm going weird, and I'm going Yellow Submarine.
I have seen it more. Okay. I'm gonna give that one to you. In a sense, yes, you nailed that. So yes, I've definitely seen that many more than 5 times. One of the items on my list was the Beatles movie Help.
I almost said Help.
And in parentheses, I wrote Help, parentheses, and all the Beatles films. So Yellow Submarine being part of and all the Beatles films, you kind of got that one. You kind of, that's good. Nice work. Yeah. Nice work. Yes. The Beatles movies, I've definitely seen all of them many more than 5 times. Yes. Love them.
Question about a Beatles movie. Is Help the one where their beds are in the floor and they're like, what are you doing on the floor? I'm tired.
Yes, that's the one.
That's my favorite moment out of any Beatles, any like media ever. Like apart from the actual music, my favorite bit is them tripping over their own beds. They're like, what you doing on the floor? I'm tired.
Yes, that is from Help. It
so
is good. Yes, classic stuff. Yes, I actually wanted to. Last year my sister and I did an episode on this podcast about A Hard Day's Night, which is one of the other Beatles movies, the first one they did, and I would like to go back and do Help at some point because that is a very fun movie. And my friend Rhiannon and I did an episode on Yellow Submarine a couple of years ago. So that would be super fun to do more of the Beatles movies. But alas, so Help, you nailed that one. So that's my first one down. I'm gonna take a guess about.
Wait, before we don't move across it. Like, why have you gone back to it so often? Like, don't move away.
I've gone back to all the Beatles films just because I'm such a big fan of theirs. But Help in particular stands out. Help is the one I chose to name because I think it is the one that has maybe the best comedy film. Like they did a number of films. A Hard Day's Night was a comedy film. I thought it's funny, but I think Help is much more absurdist and I think funnier. It's more to my sense of humor. Certain parts of it haven't aged particularly well, but I still think it's funny when you look at it as a product of its time. And then the movies that came after it went a little bit in a different direction. Magical Mystery Tour is this bizarre, drug fueled weird movie that is, you're not going to appreciate it unless you're a fan. And even then you're probably going to be like, what exactly is going on here? People back then didn't like it. It's just a very absurd, off the wall, completely absurdist is not even the right word. It's just mad. It's just a madcap story. And then Yellow Submarine is more of a kids movie. So Help is the one that I think is sort of, if you were just going to watch one, that's the one I would tell someone to watch. And it's the one that I don't even know if it's the one I've seen the most, but it's the one that I chose to name because I feel like it's the most sort of the best one as like, if you're just going to watch one of these, watch this one.
I like that. That's solid. I watched it for the first time with you and Andrew and maybe Allison.
Maybe I don't remember if I can't even remember anymore.
No, me, that was so long ago. But that my first viewing experience of it was with you.
Yeah.
But okay, so you pick one for me.
I mean, this is not a superhero movie, but it's definitely one that we've talked about. So I don't know if you're going to mention it or not. But I feel like is Jurassic Park on this list?
Jurassic Park is on this list.
All right.
I actually wasn't even sure if I was going to mention it or not, but because it felt like a gimme.
Yep.
Where I was like, obviously, Tim has seen Jurassic Park more times than any human alive.
Sure.
Yeah, it is on my list. I've seen it, I don't even know how many times now at this point in my life. I probably watch it once or twice a year, and I've probably been watching it once or twice a year since it came out in 1993. So, someone do the math on that for me. That's a lot. It's a lot of years. It's going on its 28th year, I think.
Yes.
It just was released 28 years ago on Memorial Day weekend.
So that's like at least 60 times, like 50, 60 times.
Yeah, I've seen it a lot, and I love it every time. This is dumb, but I'm a big sound design guy.
Oh, Jurassic Park is fantastic for that.
Yeah, it is. I just love a good sound, like even something mundane, not even just like the dinosaurs themselves, but something like how does that tree sound against the car, or how are you like using lightning, or how do you going to make thunder sound, or somebody breathing, or hissing, or typing on the computer, like stuff like that. Like really excites me about a film because I'm a huge nerd.
Yeah.
And Jurassic Park has excellent sound design. It is not just the dinosaurs. It's how every sound means something. And I like a good playing God story. Frankenstein's one of my favorite novels. And what is Jurassic Park if not Frankenstein with dinosaurs, which is, in my opinion, just makes it even better.
That sounds like Tim's like dream come true. Frankenstein with dinosaurs.
Exactly. And I've seen the other ones quite a bit as well, but I don't return to them in the same fashion because a lot of the other Jurassic Park or Jurassic World franchise films are about the dinosaurs.
Yes.
But Jurassic Park really isn't about the dinosaurs. It's about genetics and the park and what does it mean to be a father and like responsibility and like all this other good quality stuff that makes me come back for more, that they kind of drop a lot of that in other Jurassic Park films. I mean, some of it's there. I mean, there is stuff about like fatherhood in the first three movies, and then about like what does it mean to be a family in Jurassic World and blah blah blah. Like that stuff's there. It's just not really. It just all feels like they're copying what had come in Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
and you just can't get quality. You just don't get quality like that.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, so. I'm gonna guess my second one for you, just in case if it's on there.
Okay.
It's because I went with the Beatles, but I'm gonna go with the one that I originally thought of, and that is Back to the Future.
Ooh, that is a very good guess, and I have seen that more than 5 times, but it is not on the list.
Nice,
nice,
dude.
But you know what? You know what? There is one that's on the list that similar to you with Jurassic Park. Sort of, it feels a little bit like a cheat, but I put it on there anyway. And that is Star Trek, 2009 Star Trek.
Oh, yes.
If you've seen Jurassic Park, you think, would you say at least 50 times is fair to say for Jurassic Park for you?
Oh, yeah, easily.
At least 50?
Easily.
I think I've seen this movie at least 50 times, and it's only been out for 12 years.
Wow.
I watched it a lot the first couple of years after. I saw it like 4 or 5 times in theaters, and then just like once it hit DVD, I saw it. I watched it a bunch, like every few months on DVD, and then when it came out on, then when I got a Blu-ray player a few years after that, I was like, well, now I got to see what this looks like on Blu-ray. I love this movie. Love it. It's not like, it used to be in my top 3 movies of all time, probably when it first came out. It's probably not there anymore, but it's certainly it's very near and dear to my heart. And it's one that I absolutely will name as one of my favorite movies. One I've seen at least 50 or 60 times probably over the last 12 years. A lot.
Good on you. Like, I love that first movie. I don't think any Star Trek movie for me compares to that start, and that includes Khan or Wales or anything like that. There's something really special about that 2009 film.
It's up there with Khan for me for sure. I mean, I feel like there's sort of a sort of like with Empire Strikes Back, is they're like, well, we all have to agree that's the best Star Wars movie, and like we almost like have to agree that that's the best Star Wars movie because it's just sort of the prevailing opinion. And I sort of feel that way about Wrath of Khan too, where it's like, well, so everyone sort of agrees that's like, we all agree this is the best Star Trek movie, right? Wrath of Khan, right? Yeah, we can sort of all agree, but like this one, better and favorite are 2 different categories we've talked about a lot, and this 2009 Star Trek movie is more of a favorite for me than any other Star Trek movie. And I in some ways, I do think it's a better made film than some of the others, maybe even Khan. That's debatable to me. That one could be debated. I could be convinced that one is better than the other.
Khan probably wins out as the best because it's the original cast, and it's hard to ditch the originality.
That's right.
Factor. But that 2009 movie, man. Oh man, I have seen that way more than 5 times too. 100%.
Yep.
Yeah, not on my list, but I mean, it could have.
We've probably seen it 5 times together, Tim.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily. I think we saw it in theaters together.
We saw it in theaters
twice.
We saw it in theaters together. Yeah. At least once that I can remember, maybe twice. Yeah. And then I know we've seen it a few times since then. So I would say, we've probably seen it 5 times together. I don't know. Okay, I have one more. I don't have guesses for all 5 of yours, but I do have one more guess I want to throw out there because I didn't say it the last round, and that is Jaws.
That's a great guess. If this was a top 10, it would be on there.
Okay, I didn't
kind
think
of like your Back to the Future.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd put 2 Spielbergs on there, but I just thought I had to throw it out there.
No, it was a great guess. I honestly have gone for movies that we don't really get to talk about a lot. And because you guessed Jurassic Park and I was oscillating, like, should I talk about Jurassic Park? Like, it's obvious that it's on my list, but like, you said it, it's there. And like, so yeah. So I love Jaws, but that is not, that is not one. I am going to go an entirely different direction and mention The Birdcage.
Ooh, I do know you love that movie.
I love The Birdcage. Nathan Lane, Robin Williams, Gene Hackman. There's Closer Flockhart. It's like Hank Azaria. It is easily. This is a lot of hyperbole, but maybe it's not. One of the best comedies of all time.
It's very good. It is a very, very good movie.
Easily. Endlessly watchable, endlessly quotable. For the most part, kind of holds up. Like you would think that a movie about a gay couple and their son getting married to a very conservative white bread senator, and like you would think that wouldn't age very well, and that some of the humor or the rhetoric that's spoken about everybody, but it still kind of works, which is kind of sad in its own way. And so like that's the part that's kind of like, it's not just a comedy, it's a comedy with a really strong message, but it's not about the message, it's about the comedy,
right? And
you just get the message along with it. And I love it because Robin Williams is playing against type. You know, he went for Nathan Lane's part. Or they wanted to give him Nathan Lane's part. I apologize. I think they wanted to give him that part, and he said, "No, I want to play the straight guy to her like that."
Mm-hmm.
That's way better. Like that's going to stretch my muscles way better.
Sure.
And so it's really fun to see like a bottled up Robin Williams, because that does not happen very much, but still with the comedic chops.
That's right. Yeah. That is a great movie. That is a great pick. Yes, I did know you love that movie. Yes. Yeah. You are the only person I know who like references that movie fairly regularly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's at the top of the list. It's one. I think it's a movie that it definitely is a movie that my wife and I bonded over early in our relationship.
Nice.
Because I think it was like way early into our dating, our courtship, if you will. We had both mentioned that movie, like we were going through favorite movies, and like Birdcage came up, and that was pretty much it. That was the that was like it has never gone away since then.
Nice.
Actually, we have friends that named their Roomba Agador Spartacus. So like they're like, Agador Spartacus, could you vacuum the living room or whatever? And the little Roomba comes out, and it's so good. If you have not seen the Birdcage, do yourself a favor, watch the Birdcage.
Absolutely, yeah. Wow, that's so funny though. Okay, my next pick, I'm going to go in a completely different direction. I'm going to go with 2012's Pitch Perfect.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I love Pitch Perfect. I do. I mean, we talk about musicals on here, right? And it's a musical,
of course.
Yeah. But yes, Pitch Perfect. I've seen. This is one of those movies that I haven't seen many more than 5. Maybe I've seen it between 5 and 7 times. It's not like 50 times like Star Trek, but I've seen it a number of times. When it first came out, a good work friend of mine, and I like bonded over it, and so we watched it a bunch, and we had inside jokes about it and all that stuff. And then they made 2 sequels, and I think certainly for one of them, maybe for both of them, my wife took me to see each of the sequels on my birthday. That was what I wanted to do for my birthday. I was like, let's go get dinner and go see the new Pitch Perfect movie. I really enjoy these movies, like somewhere between ironically and unironically. I find them very fun, very, I find them heartwarming. I know they're not top caliber, Oscars level cinema. I have no illusions about that. I just enjoy them for what they are, which is like they're silly, fun movies that have good a cappella singing in them, and that's really about it. I actually did bond over that with my wife when we started dating early on too. Now that I think about it, so yeah, Pitch Perfect. I'm gonna go with the first Pitch Perfect. That's the one I've seen more than 5 times. The others I've only seen once or twice each. But
a choice I didn't see coming, but good for you. Good on you.
Yep.
Pitch Perfect. Don't care for Pitch Perfect, if I'm perfectly honest.
That's okay. That's okay.
When it came out, I was running an a cappella group, and it is just like it has that movie musical thing where you're like, oh, obviously we all learned the harmonies and this like this.
Sure.
I was just like, that's not how that works at all.
It's not. But that's the cheese factor that I sort of overlook and enjoy. I almost choose to enjoy it in this movie, where in another movie it might not be as enjoyable to me. But I find it charming in this movie.
It is very charming, though.
It's fun. They're just fun, and the music's fun to listen to.
It's good. I'll also go in a different direction, and I'm going to say Midnight in Paris.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love Midnight in Paris. Don't love Woody Allen. May he burn in hell. But if it's already made, I'm a very much a separate art from artist person. Especially
stuff that's long in the past. I think we can both agree.
2011 it came out.
Yeah.
So yeah. Not who's passed
10 years ago, whatever. I guess I thought it was longer ago, but
yeah, it's not terribly long. For those of you who don't know the film, it's about a guy who is in Paris with his fiance Owen Wilson and Rachel McAdams, and he gets in a taxi, like an old school 1920s taxi at midnight while he's walking around Paris by himself, and he somehow is transported back to the 1920s. And he's a screenwriter trying to be a novelist, and he's writing a book about nostalgia, and his whole thing is living in the best time and living in the past and what it's like there, and to be around your heroes like F. Scott Fitzgerald and Gertrude Stein and Ernest Hemingway and Pablo Picasso, and all of these people are in the film. And they're all pretty much the versions of what Gil Owen Wilson like has in his mind that they would be like how you think Ernest Hemingway is and how you think F. Scott Fitzgerald is. He says old sport all the time, and played magically by Tom Hiddleston, and there's a lot to love in this movie because the nostalgia is huge, right? That's the thing that remember well, back then when we did a thing, remember, translucent tech, how great was that?
Sure.
And so it's a really great little story about what does it mean to live in your present and being present and all that kind of stuff. Plus, I love Paris, and the film was shot so well, and the opening credits there's about a 3 or 4 minute Sidney Bechet song and just different shots of Paris for 3 or 4 minutes, and then the opening credits start with the dialogue from the film. It's just great, and it's a comedy, so I wouldn't call it a laugh riot. It's more of like a clean chuckle. But it's Marion Cotillard and Kathy Bates and Corey Stoll, and there's just some really solid acting and work and craftsmanship in there, and I just love it so much. It's actually coming up on it's the first episode of the next season of Academy Rewind.
Oh, nice. Oh, I can't wait to hear that.
Yeah, so that's the because we just recorded 1953, 43. I don't even know what episode just released. Maybe 70 is something in the
73
70s.
just got released. Yes,
70,
Godfather.
73, but The Godfather just got released, and so 60s, 60s, 50s, 30s, 40s, and there's no 30s episode. They skipped a year because everyone was in the depression. So
yes.
So it's actually coming up really soon. And I'm excited because I don't have to watch it again, but I'm gonna. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, you go.
Okay.
You have 2 left, right?
2 left. Yes. My next one, Toy Story.
Toy Story. I didn't even think about going animated movies. That's so good.
Toy Story. An absolute classic, an instant classic for me. I saw it at just the right time. I was around Andy's age when this movie came out. What is it, 94, 95? 95, right?
95.
So I was 6 years old. Yeah, and Andy's supposed to be 6 or 7. So that's exactly. And it's the first movie that I saw, sort of at a theater. I didn't really see it at a theater, but I'd say I saw it at a theater. It's the first one I saw it outside my house, or not at a house, but I saw it at a screening at my local public library on a big screen.
Oh, okay.
That
library. Counts.
Yeah. Not at a theater, not actually at a theater, but I sort of think of it as my first theater movie. And I've loved it ever since. I've seen this one many more than 5 times, but, Toy Stories 2 and 3, I've seen. Toy Story 2 I've definitely seen more than 5 times. 3, maybe not quite 5, and 4 I only saw the once, but,
yep. That's how I also feel about Toy Story 4.
Yeah. It was fine. It wasn't necessary, but it was
Hashtag and not enough buzz.
Nah, yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
But it was funny. It was a funny movie. It was fun to watch, but just didn't have the same heart that the first 3 have. And the first one is just it was magical for the concept as a 6-year-old, but it's obviously a huge technical achievement that I frankly don't think we talk enough about.
It's the first fully 3D animated film.
Yeah.
It's a huge technical achievement. Like, you don't get anything
on the level
without Toy Story.
On the level of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, where you don't get any full feature-length animated films without Snow White. You don't get any all of Pixar and DreamWorks and and Minions and everything. None of that exists without Toy Story.
Toy Story really should be uttered in the same breath as like Trip to the Moon, Snow White, Star Wars, Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Like, these are the movies that literally changed Avatar. As much as you hate it, whatever.
No, but I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, these are the movies that literally changed how movies are made, like advancements in the field, not just like tiny advancements. Lord of the Rings. Like, these are the movies that changed everything.
Yes. Huge leaps forward.
Yeah, huge leap forward, and Toy Story should be is at the forefront of those changes. Some of the tech that they use to make Toy Story, we still use in making movies, just with better computers.
Yes, just like all the movies you just talked about. We still use those same methods, more updated versions of them, but we use that. They established things that we still do today. Yeah, absolutely. Here. Cheers to that. What's your second to last pick?
My second to last pick, I got two here. I'm going to go, my second to last pick is The Patriot.
Ooh, yeah.
Mel Gibson's The Patriot, which is a movie I've seen, I think literally every year. Every year since 2000.
Nice.
I don't think there's a year that has gone by where I have not watched this movie. It's a Roland Emmerich movie, who I don't love. I think it's his best. And it's just beautiful and epic and touching and super historically inaccurate, but I don't care. And Heath Ledger in his in greatness, and Jason Isaacs chewing up the scenery like there's no tomorrow, and Tom Wilkinson being awesome, and so the movie, if people who don't know it, it's a movie about the American Revolution. It's about this guy who's a farmer in South Carolina, and he's very anti-American Revolution. He's like, no, we do not want to go to war. I fought in a war. It was terrible. I did terrible things I don't want to talk about. And his sons are very much like, no, we really need to go to war. And so there's like this push-pull in the family, and then stuff happens that really propels him to go to war. And it's just wonderful. Like, I love it so much. Because I think that yes, it's epic, and yes, the story's there and whatever else, but the visuals are there, whatever. But it's the story of a good father-son story will always get me.
Yeah,
always, yeah. And I don't even have a son, and they get me. Like I apply that backwards to my own dad.
Yeah, yes,
right?
yes, same.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of we both have good relationships with our dads, and I feel like a lot of folks feel that way if it's something that they don't have. Like it's a wistful, a lot of people have appreciate those stories for the relationship they wish they had with their dad. But for me, it's more because it reminds me of stories like that mean a lot to me because I do have a good relationship with my dad, and it reminds me of that. Yeah. That's
stories that this is not a movie about reconciliation necessarily, but movies that have like a dad and a son at odds and then they make up, those get me every time. And I've like my dad and I have a great relationship, but for me, I'm applying that to them. Like, now you can have the great relationship.
Exactly. Now you have exactly. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel too. Yeah.
So, so the Patriot is on my July 4th, gotta watch 1776, The Patriot, National Treasure. This is the trifecta of movies that I need to watch in and around July 4th to feel American.
Feel American, yes.
Yeah. What I love about it, though, is that the quintessential American is played by an Australian.
Yes, that is funny, isn't it?
Whose eldest son is also Australian.
Right.
So hilarious.
Very funny. Yeah. I remember once, we went to a 4th of July party together where that movie was playing on TV.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, your last one.
My last one, this took a lot of back and forth for me to narrow it down, but I'm going to go, this is just because of the achievement that it is as a film. I have seen Gone with the Wind at least 5 times.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, that literally came out of nowhere. Wow. Tell me more.
I have seen Gone with the Wind 5 times at least. I remember the first time I saw it, I was in 5th grade, and we watched part of it in American history class to learn about Reconstruction. And to learn what a carpetbagger was and all that kind of stuff. We only watched that a piece that was the after the war pieces, and because it's really not historically accurate for lots of it, and there's a lot of liberties taken, and the whole thing is really about wasn't it great when there was slavery and the South was what it used to be when plantations? Yep. Aren't we wistful? Don't we all miss the good old days? Which is just what? Are you serious? But it is this huge sweeping epic of a movie. It is a huge film achievement, and it is something that it is very compelling as a movie. It is extremely compelling. Story notwithstanding, the huge problems, the huge, like, not just problems, like moral failings of it, and the wrong story that it's trying, or the thing that it's trying to make you, nostalgic for, that no one should be nostalgic for. It is a very compelling piece of cinema that is beautiful to look at and wonderfully put together. And much like Toy Story, like we were saying before, like, it is the first of its kind, in the sense that what comes after this are things like the 10 Commandments and Ben-Hur and, Cleopatra, like all these giant epic movies with hundreds of extras on giant, on location or giant sets with huge sweeping scores and sets and it was in, the whole thing's in Technicolor and it's like 4 hours long. It is a landmark achievement in movie making, and they knew it right from the start. This was the same year. This is like 2 years after Snow White. Same year that it was the same Oscars that The Wizard of Oz came out.
That's it's the
1940
Oscars.
The movie came out in 1939, and the same director, Victor Fleming, directed this movie, who directed most of The Wizard of Oz.
Correct.
Which
big
is
old Nazi.
Yes, not a good guy. Not a good guy at all. But one of few people to have two landmark movies that he worked on in the same year.
Yeah, there's actually I actually have a book just about the year 1939 in movies.
Big year,
because it basically, like, half of the famous older movies that you heard of is from 1939.
It's a huge year for Hollywood. Anyway, Gone with the Wind. Upfront about the fact that it is, there's for a lot of people, I would say don't bother watching the movie. It'll upset you too much, for good reason. It is upsetting. A lot of the things that they try to brush off as like, oh, that's just how it used to be, are very upsetting and are flat out wrong. And depictions of certain characters are still done through a 1939 lens of stereotypes that are flat out wrong. But if you watch this movie today I think it's on HBO Max now, they will.
Yes.
They have, I would actually really strongly recommend, there is like an hour long panel discussion with a bunch of academics talking about, a couple of professors and film professors talking about the movie and its impact in the day, and how that's, how, while being wrong, it had a huge impact, and why it's important. They do a really good job of sort of talking about, like, yeah, there are issues we need to face head on, but it's still a very important movie. And that's why it wasn't pulled from HBO Max or anything, right? They put a little disclaimer at the beginning.
It actually was pulled. It was for a little bit,
like a couple of weeks.
And then they put the little disclaimer.
They put it back on with a disclaimer, similar to what Disney has done and what's done for like Looney Tunes and stuff, where they're like, there's a lot of stereotypes, a lot of things in this movie that are wrong, but it is culturally significant, it is historically significant, and so we're presenting it, uncut. But if you want to learn more after the movie, you can watch this panel discussion with some people. So I recommend watching that, because I thought it was actually very eye-opening and thought-provoking, and I learned a lot about it as somebody who enjoys the movie and who enjoys movie history. I learned a lot from watching that, so I would recommend watching that maybe as a companion to the film. But
that's cool.
But I've seen that movie once every 3 or 4 years since the first time I saw it way back in 5th grade, because it's stuck in my brain as just like such a good movie, such a good piece of filmmaking, that every few years during the pandemic, that was a movie that I rewatched. Because it's fantastic.
My favorite part of Gone with the Wind is the Carol Burnett skit that makes fun of Gone with the Wind, where she comes down the stairs with the curtains, and the curtain rod is still in her back. I saw it in the window and I just couldn't resist.
Yes.
Hilarious. It's so good. One of her best jokes, bar none. Do you have any honorable mentions that you just wanted to toss out there without just listing them and go, you should see this movie?
I mean, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, Mean Girls,
Mean Girls was on
Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Prince of Egypt.
Yep.
Xanadu was on my, Tron Legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, those are some solid. Those are some solid, not all solid.
Avengers was on that list too.
Yeah, that's good.
First Avengers movie.
I'm going to end on
Beauty and the Beast. Sorry, last
movie. Beauty and the Beast. Yep, would be on mine as well. I'm going to end with a movie called About Time.
I love that movie.
Yeah, me too. It's the best. I love Richard Curtis, and I think it's his best movie. It's probably not because it's about fathers and sons.
That's right.
And it's also about responsibility and family and love and growing up and just like a good Bildungsroman or a coming of age story, and like all those things get me. And plus it takes place in England, and it has Bill Nye in it.
I was going to say
Donald Gleason and Rachel McAdams and Margot Robbie and Tom Hollander, and it's just like it's a really great fun movie about a kid on his 21st birthday gets called in to his dad's study and is like, so the men in our family can travel in time and have fun with that. And it's really just about him learning how to live his life and appreciating life. And I just love that movie. It makes me feel good at the end of the movie, forever. It makes me feel good.
It is such a feel-good, beautiful story, heartwarming, sincere. It's a very sincere, as much as it's about time travel, it's not a sci-fi movie, really. It's really not. No. It's what if sci-fi was real, or what if time travel was real, and it was just a thing this person can do.
Falls into that wishy-washy fiction subgenre called magical realism, where it's there's something magical that happens, but the rest of the world is pretty much as you would expect it to be.
Exactly, and the movie only just asked you to take this one thing for granted. Take for granted just that time travel can exist. No machines are needed or anything. This kid can just time travel. Just that's it. That's all you need to. Everything else is realistic. Mm-hmm. And you loaned the Blu-ray to me several years ago. I don't even know if you remember this, but you loaned it to me and you said, "Watch this." And my wife and I watched it. I don't even know if we were married yet. I think we might have been dating at the time. But took it home, watched it, and we loved it. I mean, both of us just loved it. Thought it was so charming and lovely and heartwarming and. Fantastic. And then a year or so, a little under 2 years ago, my wife and I were in London. We were at our hotel flipping through the channels and that movie was on and we just sat and watched the rest of it, from the midpoint to the end, because we just loved it so much. And we were like, this is on. Let's do that.
That's the sign of a good movie where you can watch it halfway through and be like, it's still good. Love it all the way.
It's still good.
So some honorable mentions before we wrap up. The Shining. The Shining. My Big Fat Greek Wedding, The American President,
ooh,
The Shawshank Redemption,
nice,
Prince of Egypt. You said Mean Girls, Beauty and the Beast, a lot of those '90s Disney films, Sword in the Stone.
Oh good one, Robin Hood.
Yeah, Robin Hood. Yeah, a lot of the. I mean, so I was trying to avoid some stuff that I'd seen just always as a kid, because if they were always those, then I'd be there. Psycho. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
Really? You've seen that more than 5 times?
I've seen it 10, 15 times by now, I think. Yeah, it's so friggin' good. Oh, yeah, if you want an uncomfortable film experience, and a movie that's also kind of weirdly about fathers and sons, by all means. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? What a tour de force, and I do not say that lightly, but yeah, I'm sure there's more, but
sure.
Frank, this was super fun. Where can the people find us?
This was super fun. Yes, if you enjoyed this, you can find us at beerwithgeeks.com. You can find Tim's movie podcast, Academy Rewind. You can find that at thoughtbubbleaudio.com and learn how to subscribe to it from there. You can find our other shows, all of our other shows of our network at thoughtbubbleaudio.com. You can support the network at patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio. You can support this show and all of our shows by subscribing in whatever podcast app you choose, whether that's iHeartRadio or Overcast or Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google or Stitcher or whatever, tunein.com. I don't care. You can find us everywhere. You can subscribe. You can rate and review us. That means so much to us when you do that. It helps the show get discovered. The algorithms pick it up more if you leave us a rating. So if you could do that, that would be really, really huge for us. Thank you for doing that. Doesn't cost a thing. And you can email us with ideas or feedback at beerwithgeeks@gmail.com or do the same thing by tweeting at us at beerwithgeeks.
Well said, Frank. Well said. A pleasure to talk to you. And until next time,
Cheers.